Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show.
On the beach in the sand, I think of you. I think of you. Did you realize I love you all my life? And when you're gone, I'm all alone.
Welcome back. Now, we as people, Curt Williams as a spiritualist, have a lot to discuss and a lot to learn. Because of the circumstances that has taken place in my hometown of Altadena, I believe that this could become a very teachable moment when it comes to spirituality and how life works. Very few people understand what the Creator is. And I think that the best thing I could do is keep reiterating exactly what the Creator is. They don't know what the Creator is in church. Church has very little understanding of what the Creator is. They don't have very much information about what the Creator is in science. So I will keep trying to explain these things to people, and hopefully one of these days it will catch on. And I'm going to start with what the Creator is in respect to science. The best thing I could do to explain that is by explaining that the Creator is science. When I say the Creator is science, what I'm saying is the Creator is the knowledge within science. We have to really get past this whole notion that the Creator is a being, is a man or woman sitting somewhere looking down upon things. That's not what the Creator is. The Creator is a conglomerate, a mixture of billions and billions of things that become one thing. For example, when I say the Creator is science, it means he is science and everything about science. You can break science into 1,000 categories and you'll still have a reason to expand the term science, because the Creator is science. The Creator is mathematics. The Creator is geometry. The Creator is space. The Creator, there's no other way to explain the Creator except to explain that He is everything. And I don't mean everything in a metaphoric way. I mean everything in an exact way. If we can break everything down to the quantum level, which means the smallest, the molecular level, then what you will see is different parts of a whole, different parts of a whole system, and this system is creation. Now, the way this creation works, the way this system works is simply this. The Creator knows everything. What the Creator does not know is what will happen if He puts a small piece of Him into His creation and gave those small parts free will. How would that go? How exactly would that express itself? How would it express itself from the standpoint of behavior? How would it express itself from the standpoint of expanding information? So what I'm saying is the Creator is using avatars with free will, to expand itself. I'm going to put it in an easier way. An easier way is that your spirit lives forever. Before your spirit comes here, it devises a lifestyle and a life plan for you to stick to so that you may grow. Now, how you grow is going to vary because most of the time you're not going to listen to your spirit because you're going to think you know stuff. You're not going to listen to your spirit because you have a brain that's telling you don't listen to your spirit, you listen to me, which is a big mistake. I'm a spiritualist because I communicate with my spirit. Me and my spirit go back and forth, and we are on the same page. I decided I'm going to give and dedicate my life to my spirit so we can go and accomplish whatever it wants to do. How well it can follow instructions. I was in a situation where last night where my taxes was all tangled up because I didn't pay taxes for a whole year. And I did that intentionally because I didn't have medical insurance at the time. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna wait till I get some medical insurance before I make sure because it will penalize you. You gotta pay a lot of money if you don't pay medical insurance. So what happened was, I went into the office and I told them, I said, okay, I'm back a year, got to do that and blah, 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 blah. And I showed them my new medical card. So what they did was they ran my numbers through the system and it came back where I had to pay a penalty of like almost $900 because I didn't have medical insurance. That's because I told them that. Now, so I have this big penalty to pay, and I paid it. I went right ahead and paid it to the IRS, a $900, Zelled it right to them. So now they have the $900, and I'm good because at least I'm up to, I'm up to date tax-wise. Just then, something, and we know who this was, Big Curt said, whoa, time out, Curt. Something's missing. And it explained to me, it said that you didn't have medical insurance for the year of 2024. Yet, what they just did was they just looked at my tax record for 2023. So they basically calculated the fact that I didn't have medical insurance in 2023, but I actually did. What this caused was a computer system to say, whoa, time out. Now, Curt does owe, but he doesn't owe $900. He only owes $4 because he did, in fact, have medical insurance during the years 2023. It was 2024, and 2024 wasn't quite. To make a long story short, I have to call the IRS and tell them I need to be reimbursed half of the money that I gave them because my spirit figured it out. Like I said, Big Curt will watch out for you. I had no idea that the computer did this thing, and I thought, okay, I trust you guys. But, then I heard a voice, no, 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 time out. You need to make sure you guys are on the same page as far as the year that the taxes were being paid and the neglect on the side of the medical insurance. So they owe me money now because my spirit warned them. I talk about how I lived in Altadena, on Altadena Drive, which is the longest street in Altadena. And I talked about the fact that I was kind of ran out of that space by the Bank of America 7 years ago. So I was able to reestablish myself in another city. And then when the calamity happened, when Altadena burnt down to the ground, literally, I was already in another space. And I talked to some friends of mine that are from Altadena. And the question I asked him, I said was, look, and he also does construction. We both had a construction company while I was living in Pasadena for 40 years. And I asked him very, very succinctly, I said, do you think it would be a good idea if I never went back to Altadena? And he told me exactly. He said, Curt, whatever you do, don't ever come back to this place. The way he described it is that from where I lived, and I'm looking towards the east, there was nothing there. Everything was gone until you reached the end, until you reached the mountains. To try to get a visual idea of what that looks like is very difficult. But if you go and see it yourself, you will have a visual and you will become somewhat changed by the mere scope of it all. Seeing it on television is bad enough, but to see it in person, I was told that if you can help it, if you can help not ever having a visual, it would be comparison to somebody living in Nagasaki, in mid-40s, and then an atom bomb goes off. And then they come back to see a place that is unrecognizable. Unrecognizable because the whole photography of the place has changed because a bomb has gone off. Well, that's how they're describing Altadena. A place where it no longer looks like what it looked like before, and it will never look like that again. It will look like something, but it will never look like that. And to have that in your mind, it may not be completely necessary for me to do so. I love the place so much that it might not be completely necessary for me to come and get a visual. A lot of people are doing that, but I mean, when you think about where you were raised and how you were raised and the little streets, I don't know. There was a baseball field where our Little League baseball team played right up Lincoln, and when we go home, we used to cut through this grassy knoll kind of area. And one day, my friends and I started us a little fire. And we found some matches, and I told them we shouldn't play with them, and we did, and it didn't lead to any kind of destruction, but to witness the whole place become erased, to me, this is beyond. Now, there are people that are asking me why. And I know that I can answer these questions because you What you want to do is you want to come to a spiritualist for answers having to do with things of a spiritual nature. You're not going to get the information and the knowledge that you can get from a church source, a biblical source. They do not have the ability to articulate spiritual things simply because they go by biblical doctrine, and in this doctrine it demands that they do things the way that is put in the doctrines, meaning it follows a certain path, a certain directions, and a lot of it is just basically wrong. When you look at it through the prism of a creator, you can't have creation and destruction in the same like meaning the same thing. They are in opposition. They're antithetical. They're in exact opposition. The creator and destruction. So you can't have a creator that's creating and then putting his creation in a place to penalize them for being exactly what he created them to do. Meaning the hell situation. The hell situation is just a big lie, a big myth to frighten people into following this fake creator. The biblical God is not the creator of the universe. And that's where all of religion gets it wrong. Religion believes that when they're talking about God, they're talking about the creator of the universe. Well, they are not. They're talking about a particular ideology that was written in a book, and the ideology is incorrect. And because basically, if you look at the Bible from the standpoint of how it viewed the world, well, according to the Bible, the earth is flat. That's how this whole flat earth thing came up with, because the Bible said it's flat with a firmament above it, because they didn't know when they wrote that book what the earth looked like. They didn't know it was a round sphere. And then you want to talk about, let me talk about Jesus for a second. Less than 1% of the population of people in that area had the ability to read and write. They didn't have schools to learn how to read and write. Now, if you want to accurately get things from one place to another, what you want to do is write them down and make sure nobody disturbs the writing. Well, there was no one there to write down anything that Jesus had to say. The Apostle Paul, who talks about Jesus, never met Jesus. He says he saw him on the road to Damascus, but if you see somebody going that way, that doesn't give you enough for you to write an entire religion based upon him. You just, So we're talking about a situation where nobody was writing down anything at the time and around the area where Jesus lived, where he was from. Except one. When I said less than 1%, there was one. And these people are called scribes. Scribes, what they are able to do is write down things for themselves, even knowing nobody else is going to be able to read it. They'll write it down for themselves just so they can keep their notes straight. So that when they move on and they tell these stories, the accuracy is there. Now, there was a scribe in the area where Jesus was, and he did describe a man that would fit that description. But he could not have been called Jesus, because back then there was no J in the vocabulary. So Yahshua is who he was. He never would have said Jesus in the first place. That we know. Number two, he described a man that had a sort of aura about him. He described a dark-skinned man who he described him as being very tall and had a certain mystique. And they called him the Egyptian. Why? Because he had just come from Egypt. Now, if you read my book, and I know you haven't, you will find out that Jesus spent a lot of years in Egypt. From the time he was a boy to the time he was a young teenager, he was in Egypt going to the mystery schools therein. And so he would have come back appearing like, where do you come from, sir? I come from the land of Egypt. Well, he would be called the Egyptian. I believe Jesus did exist because I believe Jesus was that man that they call the Egyptians. I believe in the principles of Jesus. However, there is one aspect of Jesus that I will never accept. And that's because I'm a spiritualist. You see, when you are a spiritualist, your spirit will not allow you to accept certain kind of BS. If it's a bunch of BS, your spirit will reject it. And I fully reject the notion that you have to give your soul to an individual or you will go to heaven, and if you don't, you will go to hell. That whole made up BS is antithetical to creation. In other words, the story itself is so shallow, it is beneath consideration of a creator. It is beneath a creator. And then if you just look at the story, it says that the creator will have a son. And that son will be named Jesus. And if you don't give your soul to him, you're going to go to hell. All I can say about this is, for those of you who are teaching this, there will come a time when there will be a reckoning. You won't be here because you'll be long since passed away. But there will become a time when somebody is going to look at this literature and be simply just looking at it as if it's something from some kind of barbaric or some kind of pre-intellectualism, because that's how pathetic it is. And it makes people behave worse. If you think about Christianity, for instance, and how Christianity gives license to certain behavior, like slavery, for instance, like segregation, and when I say segregation, what I mean is I saw a lady congressman one time, and it was a black woman from, I think it was the state of Texas, I don't know. And she made a statement one time, I can't remember verbatim, but it had to do with, she was putting down white supremacy in one sentence, and then she turned around and said, as long as you're covered with the blood of Jesus, then you're okay. Well, all you're doing is switching one type of negative emotion to another. There's a blood of Jesus thing. When we get to a place where we realize that we're not the only ones in the universe, when there are beings all over this place, and none of them are going to know about Jesus, and none of them are going to know about religion, and none of them are going to know about heaven and hell, because they're not going to be that simple-minded. And what I'm explaining is that you people are simple-minded because you believe something that is so antithetical to creation. And you preachers are not going to stop teaching it because that's how you make your money. You make it on the ignorance of people. You make it on the fact that they're so naive, they'll believe anything. So tell them to give you some money, and that will this is the bottom line. I'm going to keep talking about this thing until I get up enough nerve to explain how creation works and how destruction works, and how God, the Creator, is not responsible for things like fires and destruction. I can explain that, but it's a very tough thing for me to explain quickly. There's a lot of things people need to understand before we even get there. And so, all I can tell you right now, all I'm going to say is now is the Creator is not responsible for destruction or anything negative. Your spirit, however, the spirit that is guiding you through your life is. Your spirit will put you through some things. Your spirit will put you through some things so you can elevate your spirituality. Its purpose is to elevate your level of spirituality by putting you through some things. If you think you know everything, it will teach you that you don't. If you think you're right about everything, it'll teach you that you're not. It's going to teach you. It's going to teach you how to elevate your level of spirituality. This is what you want to focus on right here in this life. You want to focus on being the best human being you could possibly be, the most loving human being, the most caring. Separate negative from positive. Any negative emotion you want to stay away from. Any positive emotion you want to. If you just focus on that for now, we might get somewhere. We might get somewhere if you just focus on good, bad. Now, if you can't tell the difference, don't ask a minister, because a minister is going to tell you all kinds of things that are bad, that are good. They're going to tell you, they're going to teach you segregation. They're going to teach you that you will go to hell. That's a negative thing. You need to learn positive things and not be frightened into doing something that someone else is trying to manipulate you into doing. So first you want to do is focus on separating good behavior from bad behavior. What is good is good. What is bad is bad. Is not. There's no ambiguity. If slavery was bad, it's just bad. If religion says half of the people are going to heaven and the half is going to hell, well, it's just bad. There's no redeeming aspect to that, no matter how you try to spin it. So we're going to keep it there. Everybody, like I said, this is going to be very important because you're not going to get this stuff anywhere else. Every time I listen to other people talk, they're not saying what I'm saying. They're saying things like, oh, the government is responsible for this. Oh, we must have really, God must be mad at us. That's the problem. God is mad at us. Whoever is thinking God is mad, you don't understand what God is. God doesn't have the ability. It's not an emotional being. He doesn't get mad. He already knows what's going to happen. Why would you get mad and Anyway, it's like going to see a rerun of a movie, and every time you see it, you get more upset with each time because the shark ate the man when you knew the shark was going to eat the man when you came here. Anyway, thank you for coming, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We got a lot to learn, and be careful with the preachers because
right there. Love me too.
subscribe and push the like button.